When after a bull with a big heart is mistaken for a dangerous beast, he is captured and torn from his home. Determined to return to his family, he rallies a misfit team on the ultimate adventure. The story begins in Spain. We see a little calf named Ferdinand hiding for his fellow mate and heading straight to water a flower. Just then a truck comes into their bull training ranch called Asa del Toro. Three young cows wait to see which of the older bulls will get picked to fight a matador. Meanwhile, one of the cows, named Valenti, explains to Ferdinand what the truck signified, as it's what is used to pick a bull who will fight in the highest stages in Spain, while also fantasizing on how he would conquer the world to become the greatest bull ever and living like a king. However, as they fought about being selected in future, Ferdinand immediately goes to protect his flower in order for it not to get stepped on. Just then, Valenti noticed this and threatened to step on it. However, the other cows began shouting, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" But Ferdinand informed Valenti that he isn't going to fight him. Immediately, Valenti made fun of him, saying he's scared of fighting, and told Ferdinand that that is what bulls do. They'd fight. After some heated discussion with Ferdinand, Valenti decided to leave him alone with his flowers. At this point, the bullfighter rushes into the observatory, including Ferdinand's father, who asked his son to wish him luck. We then get to see a fight between Ferdinand's dad and Valenti's father. However, after a long extended battle, the spectator decided to pick Ferdinand's father. Valenti goes to comfort his father, get ignored by him. Ferdinand goes to congratulate his father on his victory and immediately asks his father if it's okay for him not to choose the fight path, as it's not his dream. His father then told him that he's still a kid, and when he grows up, his dreams are going to change and also everything about him, as he's going to be even bigger and stronger. However, before he leaves, he promised Ferdinand he would come back and show him all of his moves, including his secret ones. He then gave his goodbye and left. Valenti then smashed the rose which Ferdinand was taking care of earlier. In the evening, Ferdinand heard the sound of the truck who picked his dad earlier in the day and rushed towards it, only to find it empty. Making him sad, immediately one of the workers found Ferdinand outside and decided to catch him. In fear, Ferdinand ran out of the range, as the worker continued to chase him. Just then, Ferdinand jumped into a train, making his escape complete. He continues to run and wander around the forest. He then slipped and then lost consciousness after seeing some outsiders. The next day he wakes up, only for him to meet a young girl named Nina, and begins sniffing his flowers. The young girl quickly noticed this and gave it to him to smell, while also promising to take good care of him, as this is his home now. Ferdinand get to see a huge tree with flowers surrounding it and ran toward it to have a smell of it. And his newly found friend began to bond together while having fun. They then get a transition of how Ferdinand has become big and grown bigger. They continue to live together as one big family. Ferdinand continued to help out the family with the growth of the family flowers for the spring festival. Just as they prepare to leave for the festival, they informed Ferdinand that he can't come with them this time. Nina is not happy by this decision and decided not to go if her pet bull isn't following her. Nina's fathers explained to Nina that they all know who Ferdinand is, as he's just their pet bull, which they love taking care of, but outing their ranch people don't see Ferdinand kind as such. Just then, Nina promised to bring in the prettiest flower bouquet in town before leaving. Ferdinand began to think about the whole situation, whether he should disobey or stay, but after a long contemplation, he decided to go to the festival. At the festival, Ferdinand saw a lot of flowers and began sniffing them all, while also been amazed by the decorations. Many are also surprised by how big Ferdinand was. Just then, he found Nina, and she rushes toward him, saying he shouldn't be at the festival. Just as Ferdinand decided to go, while his head wrapped around some clothes, he slipped, falling into a bee which eventually stung him, which made him run in pain, as he was unable to see anything due to the clothes wrap around his face, making everyone terrified by him. Just as he ran, his horn then took a lady baby, to which Ferdinand eventually threw up and began running toward it to save it. But everyone is scared of Ferdinand, as they called him a beast. Ferdinand then complained to Paco. Just as he did so, the police immediately comes into the festival ground. He ran and decided to hide in a room, not knowing it all filled up with ceramic plates and utensils. Ferdinand tried walking gently, but all was in vain, as the old lady began using his tail to remove dust. Ferdinand was eventually found and captured. Nina ran to help her pet, but was told by the female officers that he's a wild animal, as he had just destroyed the whole ceremony. She ran toward Ferdinand's bus in tears. Ferdinand is then taken far, far away from his home with Nina. Just as they take Ferdinand into a ranch, he noticed that the animal control had brought him back to his previous home. They brought in a calming goat to help Ferdinand calm down. Ferdinand then asked his goat for help, and he was excited to help out as he has also been waiting for this moment all its life. But Luke the goat seems to misunderstand Ferdinand as he plans to coach and make Ferdinand ready for the bullfighting ring. Lupin introduced Ferdinand to the rest of the crew, but just then, one of the bull recognized him from small, and they're surprised on how big he is now. But they also feels that he came back to the ranch to intimidate them by his growth. Valenti appears and still a bully. Lupin introduced Ferdinand to his new home. Some hedgehog come into their space to steal some of their things. However, one of the hedgehog begged Ferdinand not to beat them. They are also surprised that Ferdinand is different from the other bulls they know of, as he told him to take the food and even help them leave. Ferdinand then plans to leave but was eventually caught by the electric wired fence. Some horse made fun of him as he asked how he could get to the other side. He also saw how the hedgehog escaped without getting shocked. The next day, a man named Primero raid into the ranch. He goes to visit the owner of the ranch while also informing him that he's here to get a bull which will fight his final battle, and he need the best of the best to achieve that. They prepared the bull for Primero, while Lupi educate Ferdinand about bullfighting. During the bullfighting, Ferdinand decided not to get involved in the fight, but Lupe informed him that Primero is watching, but he still insists to not be violent. Meanwhile, Primero isn't impressed by their performance and also told the owner that if he doesn't find a bull, no one would use his ranch again. Ferdinand informed Lupe and the rest that he's not a fighter. Gap, who fainted during the fight, is surprised that they picked him, not knowing they are taking him to the chop house. They blame Valenti for Guap leaving the ranch, but then informed Ferdinand that you are either a fighter or a meat. At night, Lupe was found crying about Gap, and Ferdinand then comforted him. The next day, Lupe informed Ferdinand that he has 24 hours for them to train into the battle beast needed for Primero. But just then, Ferdinand then saw a bull trying to step on a bunny and decided to run towards the bunny to save it. One of the bull is afraid that he would be the next to be taken to the chop house and also decided to tell Ferdinand his secret, saying he can't see well, and once the owner finds this out, it's over for him. Just then, Ferdinand helped him out with his hair covering his face to help him see. He thanked Ferdinand for helping him as he just handed him a fighting chance. Luda screamed at Ferdinand furiously to stop helping the competitors. Ferdinand later has a dance-off with Angus, McLean, and Bones against the horses, which results in the horses getting shocked by the electric fence and being humiliated. However, Valiente is the only one who remains disdainful of Ferdinand. Meanwhile, Ferdinand discusses about his plan to escape with Lupin, and they both decide to leave. Lupin goes to meet the hedgehog to help them with crossing the fence. They proceeded to escape, but Ferdinand passes a wall with a picture of his father and his horns mounted on it. In fact, the whole wall has horns of bulls sent to fight. Ferdinand goes to inform them about their plan, but Valenti eventually picks a fight with Ferdinand and continues to antagonize him, calling him a coward for refusing to fight. Ferdinand defends himself, and one of Valiente's horns gets broken off. Primero is impressed by Ferdinand and selects him as the fighter. Valiente is then sent to the slaughterhouse. Ferdinand then escaped to go to the slaughterhouse to find Valente, which he eventually did. But Valente isn't happy as he believes he's already done for. He tried to convince him, but Valente seems not to be interested. Just then, Ferdinand found Guapo and helped him eventually trigger the start button to the machine, which nearly get Guapo killed. But Valente came in just in time to help out. They both went through multiple challenges but eventually escaped. The animals hijack the rancher's truck and head into town. Primero threatens the ranch owner Moreno, forcing him and his fellow ranchers to chase after the animals. They run through town and cause chaos, but they come across a train yard and head to freedom. The bulls push a small cart to connect to the train, but Ferdinand stays behind to make sure everyone gets on. He is found by the ranchers and is taken. News of Ferdinand being taken to fight Primero makes its way around Spain. Juan and Paco see it on TV, and Juan goes to get Nina so they can save Ferdinand. It's a deal day, and we get to see a huge crowd as they gather at the arena to watch the fight. Lupi, who stayed behind and was taken with Ferdinand, tries to convince Ferdinand to fight for his survival. We see as Nina and her father travels to go get their pet bull. Ferdinand is then forced out into the ring and poked by the workers so he can fight. However, he doesn't attempt to get a good fight, but he ends up hitting Primero into the wall, which the crowd loved. Enraged, the matador tries to attack Ferdinand with banderillas, cutting Ferdinand's shoulder, making Ferdinand scream in pain, to which Nina heard his cry. He picks Primero by the horns and stares into his eyes, apparently frightening the matador, but Ferdinand lets him down after seeing a rose that fell on the field, which brings him back to the tranquility he felt on the farm. El Primero prepares to slay Ferdinand, but he hesitates as the bull resigns himself. The rest of the audience yells at El Primero to let Ferdinand live, just as Nina and her father arrive. El Primero spares Ferdinand and leaves with his dignity intact. Nina rushes onto the field to embrace Ferdinand while the audiences throws flowers to Ferdinand, and the other bulls show up as well. The owner of the ranch then brought back Ferdinand to Nina's home. The movie then came to an end. If you enjoyed content like this, please kindly subscribe.